Good morning, friends. Whoops. Welcome to Eyes of My Heart. I want to do just a short devotional today, and I'm going to start doing some of these really short ones just to start our day off with some inspiration, some words of encouragement. And right now it's early morning, and I'm actually waiting to go meet a friend at Cabin Creek here in Alpena, Michigan, which is just a lovely little coffee shop. And they sell lunches and salads and sandwiches and croissants and baked goods as well. But we've been kind of meeting there off and on over the last few months and developing a friendship. And I'm so thankful for that because one of the things that is very hard to do when you move 3 hours away is make new friends. Especially, I think it's harder anyway I think so as an adult, because you don't really have the history of maybe having kids go to school together, or we weren't involved in a church. You didn't get to know people through that, but we are now. And even though this lady I'm meeting today isn't from our church, she's a friend that I've met, and I'm thankful for how God does bring people into our life. But before I go, I want to jump on here and share this beautiful little reading today. Oh, I just poked myself in the eye. And it is from A Year of Miracles by Marianne Williamson. And it's entitled, I don't ask God to change my circumstances, but to change who I am within them. We are all assigned a piece of the garden, a corner of the universe that is ours to transform. My corner of the universe is my own life, my relationships, my home, my work, my circumstances, exactly as they are. I don't ask God to change my circumstances, but to change who I am within them. May I tend to every part of my garden with love, that it might grow to be the most beautiful manifestation of all that is good and holy and true. That statement about asking God to change us and not so much our circumstances, it's not a new statement. I've heard that many, many years. However, living it out, accepting it, surrendering to it is different. And that does not mean we don't ever ask God to help us and to change circumstances. I think we can bring everything into the light. But what can happen is we begin to change in the midst of it if we are in that ongoing communication with the divine. We are all given this garden of life, and our body, soul, mind, and spirit is that garden that we tend to. And it is so easy to get caught up in these habitual ways of thinking and reacting to life circumstances. I know that very well in my own life. And it truly has been a battle for me, sometimes to break those habits, to create new neural pathways, new responses. But when I surrender everything to God, to divine love, to the light, to the all in all, the creator of all, I'm in a better place to become aware of those deeply ingrained habits and those ways of thinking, and to find the power within me to change what I put my attention on, how I frame to view things in my life. But it all comes from acceptance. Acceptance that things are unfolding in my life exactly as they are. Whether it's good or bad, I want to try to take those labels off as much as possible. Instead, just say it is what it is in this moment. How can I be fully present to it? And how can I be transformed by it in a way that is beautiful and good, even in the midst of things that seem very difficult? So that's my thought for today. And there's a short prayer that goes with this that I want to end with. Dear God, make me the person you would have me be, that I might do what you would have me do. Make of my life the most beautiful thing by reminding me who I am. And I love that because sometimes in the times of difficulty, we forget who we are. We get caught up in all kinds of responses. And those responses can lead to extreme anger and unforgiveness, or they can range to deep fear and panic, or profound grief and darkness that we don't think we'll ever climb out of. We can turn inward with a tremendous amount of self-shame and hatred, or we can turn outward with vengeance and hurtful words. All of those things are reactions. But it is the garden of our own soul that we need to tend to. And when we do, beautiful seeds that are buried in that kind of darkness can come forth. And they can begin to bloom, and we can begin to transform. And I am finding more and more that I have to say, Lord, give me the power to live fully in this moment, no matter what the moment is. If it's sadness, if it's fear, if it's physical pain or suffering, if it's a relationship that's difficult, if it's indecision and uncertainty, let me be fully present to it. And we hear that word so much, be present, be present. But boy, when we start to say, show me what that means and help me to do it, something changes. But the key for me is that I had to be willing to let those things change. And that can be hard because we see ourselves a certain way. And when that old self starts to disintegrate and we start to let it go, or as Jesus said, die to that old self. And that old self can be a self that outwardly looks like it has it all together. That too. Because it's the inward garden of our soul. And when we tend to that and let what needs to fall away, or let the weeds be taken out, we begin to have a spaciousness for more of that beauty and growth to unfold. So whatever circumstances you might be facing today, maybe you don't have the power to change them, but you can learn a healing process of being fully present to them. I want to share a short story. It just came to my mind because it affected me so profoundly. A friend of mine who has breast cancer, or had breast cancer, thank goodness, thank God, she is just over 5 years free of that. But her mother died of breast cancer at a young age. I think her mom might have been in her late 30s or early 40s when she died, because my friend was a young child. And then my friend, both of her sisters got breast cancer at young ages and died. And then she, the last remaining child, got breast cancer 5 years ago. So I can't imagine the amount of fear that would have consumed her. But I have watched her go through this time of circumstances that she could not change. And her journey through breast cancer was not easy. She had some pretty serious complications that happened in her recovery due to the treatments. But she persevered, and she is an artist, and an extremely talented artist. And anyway, I won't go into all those details, but her life and her story deeply affected me. And one of the things she said is when her oldest sister was dying, she and her younger sister at that time, who was still alive, were there with her because they knew it was her last days. The sister who was dying of cancer lived in a different state. They all got together knowing it would be their last time together. Her sister was very coherent, but she knew she was dying. She was in hospice. So they just spent their sister time together. Both their parents were dead at that time, and it was a very precious time, even though there was deep, deep suffering. And one of the sisters, I can't remember which one it was, I wish I did, made a statement. And I don't remember the exact context in which it was said, but something about, in the midst of all of this that is happening, there is a crazy peace that is here, holiness altogether. Crazy peace. Makes no sense at all. But it was real. And it wasn't just some positive affirmation. It was felt in every fiber of their being, in the air around them. Crazy peace that could not be shaken, no matter what the circumstances were. But they had to be fully present to the pain of those circumstances, not running from it, denying it, getting caught up in the anger and all the emotions. The emotions could be there, but they weren't the controlling factor. And then a few years later, the younger sister was diagnosed with cancer, and she began a blog, and I would read it occasionally on the internet, and she referred to that crazy peace. Friends, transformation comes when we experience that crazy peace. So I don't know, like I said, what you might be facing today. Maybe it's a big thing, maybe it's an annoying small thing, maybe it's something from the past. When we open to it, and when I say open, there has to be that sense of complete acceptance and forgiveness many times, complete forgiveness. And letting go of the need to control or to say I can only be happy if there's a certain outcome. And that isn't always easy, but at the same time, I think there's a simplicity to it. I know I want that crazy peace that makes no sense. And I have had that at times, and I've glimpsed it. But it is easy to fall back into those old ways of thinking and believing. And I'll just say this too. The story I shared with my friend is a deeply poignant and sad, and yet at the same time there's a joy mixed into it, where they found that peace. But there are things that happen in our daily life where we need to tap into that peace as well. It is not something we have to beg God for, because it's part of our essence, because the Spirit of God, who is peace, dwells within us. But we have to get our eyes off of ourselves, off of the external, and not see so much with these eyes of our head, but with the eyes of our heart. It is there. That's my prayer for you today. I'm going to read that prayer one more time. Dear God, and I'm just going to make it my own. Oh God, divine love. Make me the soul, the person you want me to be today in this situation that I find myself. May I do, be, respond, speak what you would have me to speak, because that is where the joy is. That is where the healing is, because you know me better than I know myself. Make my life the most beautiful thing by reminding me who I am in you, in the midst of whatever I am facing. May it be, oh God, may it be. God bless you guys. Have an amazing day. Take care.